Hey, what is up everybody? Welcome back to the channel, or if it's your first time, welcome. I'm Mike, and I'm bringing you another 6-minute movie review, this time, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I'm not gonna waste any time, let's just get right into it. Now, I gotta say, before I saw this movie, I didn't know a whole lot about Shang-Chi. Like, I've read some of his comics, and I read some other Marvel comics that he's in, but that didn't really matter too much to me. I was still looking forward to this movie, because I was hoping it was gonna be, basically Marvel's first martial arts film. I was hoping it was gonna be a little more unique than a lot of their other superhero movies, because, Shang-Chi himself isn't really your typical superhero. And so, I was looking, those were kind of my expectations going into the movie, and I gotta say, I wasn't disappointed. I wasn't disappointed. It was it was very good. I really enjoyed this movie. The fight choreography is probably some of the best we've seen in the MCU. A lot of Marvel films, and it's not exclusive to Marvel films, a lot of action films do this too, but they have like a lot of shaky cam, or they really zoom in on the shots so you have no idea what's going on, and they chop it up, cut it up. This movie, you really can tell what's going on. There aren't a lot of unnecessary cuts, there isn't a lot of zoom, there's a lot of like wide angle shots, which is great. Plus, you can really tell, like, this movie, they really were using martial arts, which, duh, but, it looked really good. There were some, obvious nods to, martial arts and kung fu movies and stuff. I mean, Shang-Chi even has a Kung Fu Hustle poster on his wall. For acting was all really good. Like, even Simu Liu hasn't been in, like, big Hollywood movies, and he did a really good job. Tony Leung as Mandarin. I mean, I know he's, like, a Hong Kong film star, but he killed it. He was super good. Just, like, all the actors did a really good job. And even Awkwafina, like, she's usually really kind of over the top in her roles, but in this movie, she was she was perfect for what her character was supposed to be. She had moments of humor and moments of more depth, which I thought was cool. And speaking of depth, the movie itself is probably it really hits the nail on the head with the emotional depth and character depth far more than a lot of comic book movies, especially Marvel movies, do. And I really appreciated that. They didn't like interrupt any emotional or serious scenes with unnecessary humor. There was humor when there was supposed to be humor. Maybe not all of it landed, but at least it was appropriately placed, There was humor when there was supposed to be humor, and there was, serious themes and action and everything when there was supposed to be that. So the special effects were very good. I mean, of course, it's a Marvel movie, they're going to be, but there were certain things they did, like with the 10 rings, which you get to see a little bit in the trailer, but the way they did it in the movie was very interesting. I did like it. Speaking of the 10 rings, the Mandarin, as someone who was pretty upset and when I first saw Iron Man 3 and saw that Trevor Slattery, played by Ben Kingsley, was a fake Mandarin. As somebody who was mad about that, I think this movie kind of redeemed that and made up for it in more than one way, but I think the main way was giving us the real Mandarin who, mild spoiler, they don't call him the Mandarin. The character in the comics was very westernized. Not as bad as Fu Manchu, who was, the Shang-Chi's original dad in the comics. But yeah, they changed his character enough that it seemed, kind of accurate to the culture they were going for, while at the same time still being really cool and a pretty decent adaptation of Mandarin. They actually gave him more depth and layers than they do in the comics, which was cool. The only problems I really had with this movie were, like, I wish they'd maybe done, a little more comic accuracy with the Mandarin, but it wasn't a huge deal for me because I think they did make him a really cool villain. They did adapt the Mandarin pretty well. The only other thing that wasn't great was some of the story was a little predictable, but overall the story itself was actually pretty interesting and unique, especially for a comic book / action film. So that was cool, and there's definitely a lot in the trailers, or a lot of stuff that's not in the trailers as in the movie, that makes it really cool. So yeah, all that to say, really good movie. That's like, all the flaws were very minor, at least for me, like very like nitpicky things. Overall, it's a really great film, and yeah, I would give it probably an 8.5 out of 10, honestly. I think it's, probably the best solo, like, origin film that we've seen in a while in the MCU. Honestly, probably one of the best MCU solo films. Like, I wouldn't say it's like the best, you know, of course there's Iron Man and stuff, but, you know, the Winter Soldier, but it's one of the best solo films of Marvel. I was hoping it was gonna be great, and it really was. But I guess the real question is,
would I get it on Blu-ray?
Yeah, of course I'm probably gonna get this on 4K, for sure. I'd definitely buy it. So yeah, that is my review, guys, and I will probably be coming out with some sort of spoiler review, hopefully next week. But yeah, hope you enjoyed that, and check out my other 6-minute reviews, and just check out our other videos. And also, obviously, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.